Well, hello everyone, and welcome to TLP Live on this Sunday night. Hey, Paul, how we doing?
Hey, Dan. Happy Sunday to you, my friend.
Happy Sunday.
So
it's been quite a week again. We've been working on. We've been doing quite a bit of work on our gala. Notice
I'm excited about this.
August 29th. And it will be a virtual gala since, of course, we've shut everything down here on campus. We really can't gather here yet. So we're going to be doing a virtual gala. It will still have some of the same features that we did here on campus. We will do a live auction, some of the same types of experiences that we've had in the past. We'll do a silent auction. Of course, we'll do the Fun the Need, the paddle raise auction. We'll have lots of entertainment. Paul's working on entertainment for that evening. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to a great virtual gala.
I think it's important also to mention, Dan, that last year our gala was so well attended. We brought it back to the campus. We had such a great turnout. So many people had a great time, and we've heard so many wonderful things. I think that the important thing this year to remember is that we still want to have all of that excitement and fun, but it's going to be able to be from everybody's home. And I think that the big takeaway for this one is that the whole gala is going to center around not only our live and silent auctions, but a party in a box. And more details are going to follow on that one. But I think it's the big thing right now, Dan, right? I mean, everybody's going party in a box. So he's jumping right.
And there's all these opening parties. The opening up. I looked on YouTube, and there are people. There's celebrities doing box openings. What was the Fit Fab Fun box?
Fit Fab Fun box is and they get these celebrities to open it up, and then that kind of inspires everybody to want to go out and get one of the boxes and stuff. And so we're going to be reaching some of our TLP alum and friends to do that. But I think the biggest thing that everybody's excited about is that it's going to contain so many wonderful TLP items from glasses and recipes and opportunities to be able to bid on what the live auction items are going to be. It is just going to be a whole new level of virtual entertainment, and everybody's really excited about it. I'm actually very excited about this one, Dan.
Yeah. And we'll social distance here in the office, but we'll run the gala out of the office.
Mm-hmm.
We'll still be able to have our auctioneer will be in a remote location, and we'll zoom him in and live stream him from his location. We'll have phones for those of you that aren't really too good about bidding online and want to bid over the phone. We'll have phone people here answering the phone, and it's going to be awesome.
And for those of you who really kind of want to be able to have a couple of friends over and, to be able to have a small gathering, we're going to be able to accommodate that as well. We're going to be able to sell tables of 8. We're going to be able to send you all the boxes you need, because I think we're going to do 1 box per 2 people. So go ahead and have that party, have those small gatherings, be safe. And if you want to just stay at home and be with your loved ones, go ahead and do that too. It's really for everyone. And the best thing about this one, Dan, is that you can be anywhere in the country for this one.
Absolutely.
You can be anywhere from the country. You can still participate. You can still bid online. You can still bid on our silent auction. You could be everything like you were there. You're going to be able to be there. So we're very excited about this. And as you can see on a little scroll below, it's going to be August 29th. Check our website, check our social media pages. All of the details are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. And it is going to be a big virtual party.
Absolutely. And speaking of virtual, of course, we have the virtual education program, and we have our education director, Robert.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Where are you tonight?
Talk about anywhere in the country. I'm currently in Iowa. I just finished recording at the recording studio, so I will definitely have my party box anywhere. Okay, so literally, yes. So
Robert, tell our guests a little bit about what's going on with the education program, how that's going, and what's coming up.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to look at our webinars. But last Friday, we got a chance to talk to Tamar Green, who was amazing. He is a Broadway star, George Washington of Hamilton. It was a wonderful conversation. It was about an hour long, and we really got to go in depth about his role and his journey. And guess what? We still have more webinars coming up. Paul Stancato has actually, good timing. Paul has actually worked with, Paul, stay on, Dan, stay on, since you're already here. Paul has actually worked with Courtney Hammond, who is going to be doing a webinar for our professional actors. And so, can you talk about your experience working with Courtney?
I sure can. Courtney is a casting director who works out of New York with friends of mine, Wojciech C. Casting, Scott Wojciech and Gail C. We have been working together for about a decade now. They are wonderful casting directors. Courtney came on within the last couple of years. She actually worked with me on a couple of shows that I directed at a couple of different theaters. She is wonderful. She is knowledgeable. And the best thing about Courtney is that she is giving. I always encourage actors to want to take a class with her because not only does she give, but she gives you deep insight. She gives you individual one-on-one attention to your audition, and she's going to make you better in the room. She's going to give you skill sets and opportunities and tools that you can sell yourself and you can book the role. And that is Courtney, and she's a wonderful, wonderful casting director. And I'm very excited that we got her to do one of her workshops for TLP.
Literally,
Yes.
and it's only $30. It's
What?
only $30. That's what I said.
Come on. Robert, this is why Robert Jones, ladies and gentlemen, is the artistic education director to know.
Robert, talk a little bit about our on-site workshops that we've got going.
All right, but next week we will have the opportunity to actually be on, and you're going to meet some of our teen apprentices. We have our teen apprentices that have been working, starting on campus safely and socially distanced, as well as we are going to start a children's theater, intro to children's theater program, which is going to be socially distanced. But if you've ever been interested in theater, this is the perfect way to go. It's only 2.5 hours. That same Saturday, we're doing that same program for high school students. And then, Dan, if you don't mind, I would like to talk about our adult classes that are also virtual.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Dan. I'm trying to make my time. We actually have some adult classes that are still adult classes for the first time, guys. For the first time, we have adult classes. It's great. James Twiddell is doing an improv class, which is absolutely going to be amazing. He's already started with the kids. Adults is going to be fun. Please sign up for that. We have Anthony Irizarry, who's teaching a screenwriting class, literally from concept to pitching it. And so this is a huge opportunity. If you've ever been interested in writing or storytelling, this would be a great one for you. And we also have Real You, which is teaching us how to actually tape auditions for professional performances. Because as we know, we're kind of in COVID-19. So the reality is we're going to be doing a lot of virtual work. So this is a great way for students and adults and professionals to start getting in that mindset and start preparing for the future. As well as we still have some of the kids classes that are still available. Zoom Stories is still available. If you want to get your kids ready to go and then in the mindset of doing a comprehensive work, both virtually and on site, please check out our education programs. There is a spa and a class for you. Thank you, Dan and Paul, for this time.
Enjoy Iowa.
Yes.
Stay safe and
Thank
we'll
you.
See you tomorrow.
And I will actually be viewing in because I cannot wait to hear from our previous artistic director and these amazing stars that you guys got. Come on, Broadway stars on our TLP Live, our alumni. Can't wait.
That's how we do it. Thank you, Robert.
Well, with that, let's get started.
Do it.
You know, it's been a few years since this next gentleman has been here at TLP. But he spent a lot of years working with us at TLP, built a lot of programming, has a lot of legacy here on this campus. Let's bring on our former artistic director, Mr. James Bowdery. Hey, Jim.
Hey, guys. How are you?
How you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You know, Jim, you are such a mainstay here at TLP. All that you've put in, the amount of years that you've spent here, not only as artistic director, but wearing so many hats, I think our audiences, I mean, for those of our audiences that don't know, let's start from the beginning. Let's get right into it and talk to us about how you discovered TLP and how did your journey lead you to TLP?
Yeah, I was in college and I went to the Midwest Theater auditions at Webster University in St. Louis, and I auditioned with hundreds of other people for a summer job. And I remember I was at the dance call, and for some reason the dance audition was delayed. They had to start it late, so we were all sitting around waiting for the rest of the theater reps to arrive. And I was like, well, this is silly. So I just stood up and started showing off. And then Brad Lyons walked up to me and said, I saw you showing off, and I saw in your resume that you have choreography experience, and I need to hire a company member who can also choreograph. So come talk to me afterward. And then I came and talked to him afterwards, and then I was part of the company in 2001, and I choreographed Grease, Some Like It Hot, and 42nd Street that summer. And then from there, it just went on. I did 3 full summers back to back. Brad gave me my first professional choreography and my first professional directing job. And then I was in grad school in California. I moved to New York. I was working freelance around the country. And then in 2009, I interviewed and was named the next artistic director. Brad was leaving at that point. And then was artistic director from 2009 through 2017.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And you brought so many wonderful things. One of them being the most recent documentary that has been made of TLP. That was made, I believe, that was shot in the summer of 17 and is now a wonderful documentary kind of capturing the magic of TLP. And speaking of, Jim, you obviously been a performer. You've been a choreographer. You've been a director.
Mm-hmm.
How have you watched TLP change from your time as a performer, and then of course moving on? Obviously, there was something about this place that was, that we all are drawn to, this magic that we know that TLP gives. What is it? What was your change? What did you see happen from like 2000 and going all the way through 17?
Sure. I was thinking about that earlier today, and actually, there are 8 buildings on the campus of Timberlake Playhouse that were not part of Timberlake Playhouse when I started to when I left. So I guess it's 7. I didn't work there every summer, but it was 16 summers in total. And to accumulate or build 8 new buildings and gain 10 acres of land is kind of a remarkable feat just in looking at the infrastructure. But looking at how the company grew, I mean, the resident company when I started was, maybe 10 people. The resident acting company, and the staff was about half the size that it was when I left. And something that Brad Lyons was very conscientious of was reinvesting, really sticking to a budget and reinvesting whatever you can back into the company. And so watching the level of directors that we were able to bring in grow, and the level of talent that we were able to bring in, and then the level of craft that we could put on the stage and how that changed over that time is really remarkable. And a lot of that has to do with money and increasing revenue. And that's not just the shows. That involves a lot of donors and really supportive board members. But that growth, I mean, the operating budget more than doubled in my time there. And I assume it was the same for Brad Lyons as well. But Timberlake is such a unique place because everyone lives and works on the same property. And there are a handful of theaters like that around the country. And they're just really special places because you can't help but become a family with the people you work with. And the love and respect and support and the space that was provided for us to create was something that was really special. And I think that you see that by how much the alumni care about the company.
Yes, absolutely, and that is something that that our alumni are so special. When I first started in 18, I can't remember how many people came up to me and just said, "I've been here since '61. I've been coming since 61, 62, never missing a season." your legacy being such an important part of TLP's history and allowing us to grow to the point where we were able to make yet another step after your tenure here. But that was only because of everything that you had done and put on your back as far as TLP. I think that what's important is that people need to understand that, a theater, to not only put on a show, but to run a theater, it does take a small army. It takes so many people, from donors, on-stage staff to backstage staff, off-stage staff, and everybody is so integral and such a vital part. As a leader, Jim, you are obviously the one kind of rallying the troops. You're out there selling theater to try to get people to want to come work here. You're out there trying to get donors to invest. What is it about TLP that allowed you to go forward and say, this is the place that you want to be. This is the company you want to work for. This is the theater that you want to put on your resume.
Sure. I think that one of the most important things is the theater building itself. I've never seen another summer theater company with the actual physical theater space that Timberlake has. It's an enormous playing space, and with the built-in turntable and something that's convertible to a semi-thrust proscenium to really something that feels immersive. The scale of work that you can do in there is really impressive. And so that's a great way to lure designers in, because you can get really talented people to come in and design for you at that level. And part of the thing that's really great about Timberlake is that it is a summer theater for the most part. And I know that has expanded a bit, but the business model has relied on some of the best college students supplementing professional performers. And this has been from the beginning, because college students are available in the summer. And so Timberlake is a place where a lot of people have worked and kind of started their careers and then gone on to great things. And when you're tied to a school year, you can't just be out and auditioning. And so really cultivating relationships with specific schools that could help be part of that and cultivate a really talented core group of people. And then it's just about not believing in limitations, right? I mean, budgets are not high at any theater company, but that's where your imagination kicks in. And what can you do? And how can you tell the story in a way that people haven't seen, that makes them leave the theater and feel like they've seen something that has been entertaining, and hopefully they've learned something, and maybe it's changed them in a way also. And that's the essence of theater. But that's why Timberlake is unique in that sense.
Absolutely. And you made some great relationships with us out there. I know that Baldwin Wallace was a big one for us, Western Michigan. And, from me to you, Jim, thank you so much for everything that you've given this theater. Your legacy is definitely a mark, and it's definitely something to be proud of. So I'm so glad that you were here, and I'm so glad that you're back to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Jim, you mentioned that you'd get a chance to work with some of the top college kids around the country. Mention a few of those top college kids that have gone on to make this their profession, and maybe even work on Broadway theaters.
Sure. I mean, just in my time, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, because there are a lot of people who are out there working, and if I don't say your name, I don't not love you. Obviously, Olivia Kaufman, who is here and going to talk in just a minute. I remember Olivia's audition. Olivia auditioned for me in 2015, and I thought she was amazing. And I didn't know quite what to do with her. But then when I knew we were doing the 2016 season, I was like, that Olivia from Baldwin Wallace should be Gypsy Rose Lee. And then I went and auditioned her, and she wanted that part. And so it was great. Olivia, Sam Light, also from Baldwin Wallace, was in The Lightning Thief on Broadway this last season. Oh my gosh, who else? Pat Conahan was in The Bandstand. He was in our 2011 company. Who else? There's so many people. It's hard to think.
The guy in The Lion King? Who's in The Lion King national tour?
Rod Lawrence.
Yes.
He was in the Lion King national tour, and I mean, it just goes on and on. Gabe Brown was in the Les Mis tour, and Caroline Murrah was in the Fun Home tour, and I'm forgetting so many people, but you know, these are
And of course, you had the opportunity to work with Sandra Santiago here. There's you and Sandra at rehearsal. I actually remember that. I remember that conversation when you guys were sitting there like that talking. I was either in the theater. I don't know that if I took the picture or not, but I remember being in there, and how you flew out to New York ahead of time and you worked with her and really worked hard bringing her to an area where she was actually kind of nervous.
Yeah, I mean, Sandra's amazing, and Sandra was at Timberlake when she was in graduate school. I think she was part of the resident company, and we talked about her coming out for a previous production, and it didn't work out because of a TV movie. And then when we chose Gypsy, I reached out to her and I said, "Do you want to do Mama Rose? I think you'd be amazing," because most people know Sandra from television. She has a lot of television credits. But you know, she started her career. I think her first Broadway show was A View from the Bridge in the 1980s, and then she went on to star in Miami Vice. But she's come back to Broadway in a lot of different things. The revival of Nine a few years back, and Chronicle of a Death
Evita on Broadway.
So she's done a lot.
So the story of how you initially were able to contact her,
Oh yeah,
that's one of my favorite stories for TLP.
I thought about that. Yeah, so I knew who Sandra was from her work on The Sopranos. Actually, was where I watched Miami Vice, but I didn't know who she was until The Sopranos. Then The Sopranos was on when I first worked at Timberlake Playhouse, and so people were talking about her, and I thought, oh, that's cool. And then my first summer as artistic director, we were repainting the dressing room, so we took all the mirrors down, and we found behind mirrors all of these cards and notes from people's, dressing room stations that had fallen behind the mirrors. And one was a note from Sandra to someone else, and it said, "To a beautiful dancer, happy opening of West Side Story, love, Sandra Santiago." And I thought, oh, that's amazing. And so, I was able to track her down. We had some mutual friends, and I said, "Hey, I just wanted to reach out. I'm the artistic director at Timberlake Playhouse, and we found this, and I thought that was pretty cool, and I wanted to reach out." And so we started a communication there, and then really we're trying to find something for her to come back to Timberlake to do.
Well, here's Sandra in West Side Story in 1980. Here she is in Scapino. That's her in the middle. And she left here, and it wasn't long after this that there she is with Don Johnson in Miami Vice. So,
yeah. What's funny story about Sandra is that she actually was in a movie that when I was a kid growing up, it was actually a very influential movie. It was back in the 1984. It was a movie called Beat Street, and it was a breakdancing movie. And she actually played the girlfriend of the graffiti artist. And I remember watching that movie over and over again. And so when I put those together, I was like, oh, I'm a big fan. Because that movie was such a great movie. It was the introduction of breakdancing into the mainstream back in the 80s that would go on to have such a longing effect. But it's just great how all of the artists, and you never can't tell, can you? You never just can't tell. They start at TLP, and then their journeys, their walks take them anywhere and everywhere between television, movies, Broadway, and it's such a great, that we all have that commonality that we have TLP in common.
Yeah, and I think Sandra's interesting because she's a performer who's come back to musicals. She was in Hello Again off Broadway and Bernarda Alba at Lincoln Center. So she's had this kind of amazing television career, but always coming back to the theater. And I remember she showed up. I picked her up at the airport, and her whole script was just full of notes, and she had all of these wonderful questions. And she's an actor's actor, and she just dove right in, and then of course can sing the roof off the place too. So
Yeah.
And did she Jim, when she came in, I'm sure as the director, because you directed Gypsy.
Yeah.
Was it a match? Did you find that you guys had a great working relationship as far as what she wanted to bring as far as the role and where you saw the role? Was that a good
yeah. There's so many famous versions of Gypsy, and you talk to any musical theater fan, they have a favorite performer who has played Mama Rose, and she and I really were on the same page with that. She's also a member of the Actors Studio, and my acting and directing training started at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute, so I felt like we had a really good shared language in terms of talking about acting and talking about text analysis, so that we could start there, which was kind of refreshing in a musical like Gypsy, because you can't, some musicals you go in and you really need the actors to be on it, because in such a short timeline, you have to worry about the technical execution of the show. And these are the steps, and this is where you're going, this is where the scenery has to move, because we're in 2 weeks, right? And so what we did was we kind of planned the entire show so that we would have time for acting work as well as all of that. And it really worked. It really worked well. It was a lovely collaboration.
That's great. That is great. Was that the first show of the season, or because usually a little more time with the first show? Yeah,
it was the first show of the season. Because we were using equity guest contracts at that point, it hadn't switched to the SPT equity contract. And so what we found was that based on the schedule for equity, if we were going to bring in guests, it was easier to front load that, because you have more time for the first show. So you can be more accommodating of that kind of schedule. And so we had quite a bit of success with that, with Mary Poppins and a chorus line in the first slot. Les Mis was in slot 5. I'd probably rethink that, but Les Mis was amazing also, but with at that point. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Sandra there. Sandra is supposed to be joining us tonight, but she is having technical difficulty. So she is not yet able to jump on the stream. We'll keep watching for her, and if she is able to make that work, we'll bring her on. But we have another member of the cast of Gypsy. In fact, she played Gypsy Rose Lee. Hello, Olivia.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. Good to see you guys.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you ended up coming to TLP.
I think, like some of you mentioned, I went to Baldwin Wallace, and Baldwin Wallace has a relationship with Timberlake, which is awesome. And usually about our sophomore year, they encourage all of us to audition for summer stock theater to sort of build up our resumes and get some professional experience, and just get some experience that's outside of our college time. And that's exactly what I did at Timberlake. I got to add so many roles to my resume, and Gypsy being a dream role for me. But Jim, I think, initially came to see us at Baldwin Wallace. And then after that, I ended up auditioning at Midwest Auditions. And it was kind of a weird season where I didn't quite know which seasons I kind of fit in very well, but Gypsy has been one of my favorite shows since I was little, which is kind of a weird show to be my favorite show. But it was my favorite show for a long, long time. And it's been a role that I was dying to get a shot at, but I didn't really know if I would and when that would be. And I remember my audition, I think it was Jim and maybe Cody Jolly was there too. And they had me read for Louise, which I was so excited for, because I didn't know if I would be like seen for the role, and just to even get to do it in an audition was like getting to play the part for a little bit. and I like knew all of it because I love the show so much. So I think they had me read a little bit of it and sing a little bit of it. And I remember when Jim called to offer me the contract, I was so excited. And it came with a lot of other opportunities. It came with like my first play. And so there were a lot of exciting things with that. And then
what role is this?
Sorry?
What the picture I just put up? Can you see it?
Yes. I love. Oh my gosh! And getting to play off of Liam every night was the easiest job ever. Just getting to watch him perform and do this song every night was the easiest job. Oh, and Ken.
Titanic.
Yes, and I ended up having so much fun in Titanic, and I never thought that Titanic would be a fun show to do, but it was great. Yeah. Oh, yes. And then my first play. So that was very exciting. It's very cool.
Stuck around and did the last show with us. You did Gaslight.
I did. And that was very cool.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm going to bring Jim and Paul back up. And I'd like to hear a little bit about some of the stories of creating Gypsy, and I know we worked with Sandra in that show, but we also had a new actor that's been out here several times since then. I think that was John Boss's first show with us. Anyway, talk a little bit about how all of that worked for you guys, and how that was put together.
Sure. Well, Gypsy's kind of it's one of those musicals. It's like Sunset Boulevard, that like there's like the four principal characters, and then there's the ensemble that is so essential, but it's like a 4-person play, and then there are other people. So in that sense, it's not like most musicals because you have to spend so much time with those 4 people. And so it was really important. And Caroline Casey played June, that, Olivia, Caroline, John, and Sandra were able to work really well together. But when you start a season with a show like that, it feels like, I don't know, for me, it always feels like the ensemble nature of the company doesn't really gel until later in the summer. Did you feel that at all, Olivia?
Yeah, I think so. I think starting the season that way, it was like a little bit separated because it's so true. Gypsy is a play with music for sure. It has one of the best books of a musical. So there was a lot of focus on our scene work and things like that. And while Gypsy is very much an ensemble show still, it is ensemble in a very different way. So yeah, I think so, because we moved into, I think, oh my gosh, what show is that?
And after it was Ted and Marseille, which was Shayla and Janaya exclusively.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then we had Rock of Ages, which is everyone's on stage all the time, and that's a real like ensemble musical.
Very ensemble heavy for sure.
Yeah.
That's when we all kind of gelled.
There it is. I feel like that's when the company that year really gelled. It's just the nature of where the attention has to be paid in terms of the process of doing the project.
As a matter of fact, I do say that since I've started as AD, you really did hog all the great titles that I can touch now for 10 years. It's Gypsy and Chorus Line. So thanks a lot, Bob.
Well, I did 118 productions at Timberlake, and so when you're looking at doing about like 3 to 4 musicals a year, after 118 shows, it's like,
what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. That's what I remember. Like, there were several reasons behind my leaving, but like, I remember it was actually that I decided to leave the day I offered Olivia Gypsy Rose Lee. It was the day offers went out after those Midwest auditions in 2016, because I had to pitch the 2017 season, and there was something that we were looking at that it seemed unlikely that we were going to get, and I didn't know what else to put there because everything I wanted to do, we'd already done at Timberlake in terms of a big musical. And so that's when I was like, okay, like we're going to start really repeating ourselves. And there are a few shows that I've done twice at Timberlake, but
well, it's funny because when my first year, you had programmed the 2018 season.
yeah,
and I inherited that. And I did one of my favorite shows that I've been wanting to do, and I got a chance to do, was Full Monty. And the last time that Full Monty was done at Timberlake was back in '06. And I remember when I had audience members come to me and they say, I'm surprised that you guys are doing it. It was just, you guys just did it like 2 years ago. And I said, no, it was like 12 years ago.
yeah, that happened. We did Footloose 10 years apart because it was the best-selling show ever. And then 10 years later, it was a better selling show than it was the first time. But that's a show that I can really get behind because there's actually a really good dramatic story. Everybody blows off Footloose, but like it's actually a story about dealing with grief if you read the script. So like you can get people with the entertainment and then make them really feel something. But really like 10 years is a good amount of time.
Yeah, we like to almost
get more than that.
10 or 12, but like, because I know Rock of Ages was also a big seller for TLP when you programmed that. It was a big one. Like a lot of the camp, from the resort came over and wanted to be a part of that. Olivia, what was for you? I know that Timberlake gave you your first play. Talk to us a little bit about that, because obviously with Baldwin Wallace, you're probably a musical theater student, so mostly musicals was your angle of focus, and here you're now doing plays. Did that change your purview of wanting to do more, less? How was that experience for you?
I've always had an interest in doing plays, but of course, going to school for musical theater, my main focus was always on musicals. But I think just because Cody Jolly was there during my audition, and he was directing the show or the play, he was like, I think she'd be great for this part. And so when Jim called with the offer and mentioned that, I was like, that was fully unexpected, but very welcome, because I was like, this is great. I would love to get this experience. And it was the kind of part that I could like be involved and very involved in the story still, but also like kind of sit back and learn and watch people do their thing and grow from that. So it was a great experience. And it was a very collaborative experience. This was most of the shows that I did there. And yeah, it was great.
And did you find that it informed your acting and approach process in the musical theater format and genre, or do you find that it was a separate genre that you were like, okay, there's a skill set for plays and there's a skill set for musicals, and they never shall the two make.
Oh no, I think absolutely. It absolutely informs how I can approach musicals as well, because I mean, at the base of it, it's still acting. It's a different world, and they're heightened in different ways. And in musicals, we express certain heightened moments with song, and in plays it's a little bit different. But we did a lot of great table work together, and we had a lot of great discussions, and I learned other actors' processes for forming characters and developing that, and that was very important. We did, I think, a whole day of just how to stand up and sit down and walking as our characters. And that was a little bit different than what I had done before. I had thought about some of those things myself for musicals, but we spent time to really focus and think about like the time period and like what color our character was and things like that. And that was different, but it's absolutely things that I've applied to even now.
So what, thinking back to your time at TLP, Olivia, what's one of your favorite memories of TLP?
Honestly, just playing Louise and Gypsy was just so huge. And working and learning from watching Sandra work was absolutely a big deal to me. I felt like I was getting a masterclass every time I watched Sandra perform, and anytime we were in rehearsal together. And she really pushed me to be a better actor and scene partner just because of the caliber of her work. And that was so important to me because I was looking to build my resume, yes, and play a lot of dream roles, but I was also looking to continue to learn. So that was very valuable time with her. I called her, I think maybe the year after that in school, and I did a project by interviewing her because they asked to interview someone that you look up to that's in the field you want to pursue. And I was like, absolutely, Sandra, she's amazing. So that was awesome.
Very good. Jim, you were here a long time, so I don't know if this
you get three memories, Jim.
Yeah.
One per every 5 years.
Maybe give us one of when you were an actor back in the early the early 2000s, and then one more recent if you can.
Sure. You know, my memory, I never wanted to be a performer, right? So I went to grad school for choreography because all of my favorite choreographers had come from the dance world to theater. And so I thought that's telling that everybody I care about as a choreographer came from the dance world. I should know more about that, right? So I went to college in a dance program, grad school in a dance program with the intention of bringing that back to musical theater. And Brad Lyons gave me a ton of opportunities. But my greatest memories, aside from like the lifelong friendships that I made, is the guest directors who came in that I learned from. I didn't go to a conservatory undergrad, and I remember my first year, it was Kim Rubenstein, who was the head of acting at Northwestern at that point, and had since gone on to UCSD, and is a great director, mostly Shakespearean. And she taught me more in 2 weeks about directing than I think I learned in all of undergrad. And then other directors who came in who, you know, whether it was in a rehearsal or at a production meeting, and watching other working directors, largely from Chicago, but who've gone on to other things, and watching them run meetings, I learned so much about directing beyond the idea, directing as a manager and an organizer and the leader of the group of people who has to make the thing happen. And so just being in those rooms, kind of like Olivia said about rehearsals and what you pick up from the people you're collaborating with, that's really why I loved Timberlake, and that's what I hoped to continue when I was artistic director, and I feel like we succeeded in that. Aside from that, it is a magical place, you know. I remember having deep discussions about Alanis Morissette with Olivia at like 1 a.m. over a fire, you know, and they should have, you know, maybe let us do Jagged Little Pill the musical. But, you know, those conversations where you're talking about things that like, oh, we both really love this album, and why is that? In those like late night artistic / existential conversations, those really just feed you as an artist. And so Timberlake was like practical, but also theoretical and educational in that sense. And I will say that I learned so much as an artistic director by working with college students, because college students are always college students, and you get older. And I remember, I don't know what year it was, I want to say like 2015, when I realized college students are nicer now than they used to be. And I think like at that point we had reached the generation who grew up with social media and knew how to handle themselves with it, as opposed to like the 10 years of college students who like just were thrust into social media and didn't know what to do with it. And I thought, we're going to be fine. This was just like watching a conversation happen at Timberlake. So that connection to the constantly rising generations, I think, was really an amazing opportunity.
Absolutely. You know, we do get a lot of the, when alumni come from the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s, we do get a lot of that. You know, they got it so good. Mm-hmm. Back in my day, they didn't have AC units in the cabins.
I'll never forget. I was not the artistic director yet, but there was a tour, and it was a cabin that like had like there was no one was living there, but like they were giving a tour to people, and a spouse of a board member said, well, when I was in Scouts, this would have been luxurious. And I turned to the person and I said, we're not Scouts, we're actors. And I walked away. And I'm like, you know what? Like, if you're going to honor the art, right? Times change, deal with it.
Exactly. And I think that every single year, you know, we try to upgrade the campus in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, it is only because, again, we must grow and we change, just as our performers come in and they go on. You know, we learn just as much as we give. And I'm sure, Jim, you can attest to that. Olivia, you know, you come here, you are a part of a company. You spend, you know, 15 weeks with somebody, and which could seem like a lifetime, because, you know, we work a lot of hours and they're long, but we love what we do. And, you know, Dan and I have kind of gotten to you know, sell it as it's theater boot camp. If you can sort of come and give your all to a place, and if you want to eat, drink, live, and sleep theater, then this is the place. Because when you walk away, you will be a better artist. You will hopefully have gained friends that you can take with you for the rest of your life. But the most important thing is those experiences will take them with you on your journey for wherever you go. So,
Olivia, what are you doing now? What have you done since Timberlake? Obviously went back to school and graduated.
Yes, I did. I did shows in college, and then after I graduated, I moved right to New York, and I did a lot of auditioning for a year. And then, you know, earlier than I had anticipated, which was great, I ended up landing a job on Broadway, and I was the standby for Katie, Janice, and the adult women in Mean Girls. And then after a few months of that, I took over Janice. And then I think about like 3 performances into that, we ended up having to shut down for Corona. But it's great. Like I said, it happened way faster than I anticipated. And I've learned so much, again, being in this job, and I miss it a lot.
So will Mean Girls be back on Broadway after we reopen after COVID?
I hope so. I mean, what we've heard from our team is that they have every intention of coming back. So, I mean, I really hope that we do. But they have announced that Broadway League in general will not be open until, at the very earliest right now, January of next year. So, you know, fingers crossed. We have an amazing fan base, which is very important, and, you know, a team that wants us to come back. So fingers crossed.
Well, I can hardly wait till it opens back up and get out there and see you guys. Jim, what have you been doing since you left TLP in 2017?
I saw Olivia in Mean Girls, and that was great.
You got lucky and got in there in those 3 days, huh?
I paid full price too.
You saw like my debut, my first show in August.
Yeah. I was like free, and I saw that you were going on or something, and I was like, well, if there's a time to, you know, not finagle a cheaper ticket from someone, you know, it's like, amazing work. Very proud of you. So I became the company manager for New York Stage and Film for their Powerhouse season in 2018. And so I spent 2 summers with them. And New York Stage and Film is a company in New York that does developmental work. And so they kind of meet writers and the generative artists of projects wherever they are in their process. And for 35 years, they've had the Powerhouse Theater season over the summer at Vassar College, where, I mean, tons of Pulitzer Prize winners. Hamilton started there, Doubt, Hadestown, Head Over Heels. There's a lot of H titles there.
Awakening started there as well.
Which one?
Spring Awakening.
American Idiot also.
Michael Mayer, so he's a big contributor there.
So company management is kind of like running the logistics of it. So imagine Timberlake, but with 25 to 30 productions that overlap, and 100 to 150 people in residence at once. But they're not all full productions, right? So it's different, but it has that same feel of like this incubator where creative energy can happen. And so that was a really amazing 2 years that I spent there. Obviously, there is not a summer happening right now. And just seeing how new work is really made at all levels, and how that work goes on to nonprofit companies or commercial producers, and the intersections of the business of that. Because it's so vastly different from Timberlake. And when I left New York to take over Timberlake, I had been doing new work, and I had been in that world, and I felt like after 8 years away, I really wanted to come back to that. So that's been exciting, and now I'm interviewing for jobs that hopefully will still exist when theater finally picks back up, and just living my best life here in Washington Heights.
So you're still in New York, and Olivia, are you in New York presently as well?
Yep, been here the whole time.
God love you.
We have a couple comments I want to bring up for you guys. First of all, from Bob Martin, he thanks Jim for all the alumni contact information. For those of you that don't know, we have a private Facebook page for our alumni, and we have we've been having a summer intern program here at TLP for about 4 years, I think. And this summer, one of their big jobs, because they can't do a lot of production, one of their big jobs will be to work on that alumni page on the website. So
you still have the teen apprentices?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And we were able to, even this summer, we were able to hire them on.
That's great.
And adjust our grants so that we were able to have them do a lot of social media and online work for us.
That's good. Yeah. Social media is so funny the way you keep in touch with people, because some people are really active and some people are not. And so then like someone will pop up, and I hate that like we don't stay in better communication over email, because I feel like there are people you lose touch with just by chance, because it becomes so easy to just rely on like, oh, well, there they are in my timeline or my newsfeed or whatever.
Yeah. And this is
hopefully they're watching.
Opportunity to come back around to that. I know that for me, people have been reaching out that normally we just might not have time because life happens and we are all living with our careers, and for this moment in time, I've been able to reconnect with so many wonderful people and friends from the past, and that in itself has been a blessing.
Yeah.
Joe Titus,
Ramesh.
James, thanks for being on. Amanda says, great to see you. Bob had another comment to Olivia. Great to see you again. Look forward to following you in what we know will be a great career. Oh, and look who else is on with us tonight. Marcus.
Ah, Marcus.
Our good friend Marcus.
I miss you, Marcus.
We had Marcus on TLP Live, either our first show or our second show. And Avery was proud to be able to be a small part of Angie and Vaudeville Kid in Gypsy.
Avery, I hope you're doing wonderfully, and your whole family.
And from
Ginger
and Sam.
Ginger, I never thanked you and Sam for your card when I left, but it was really lovely. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Well, we are so glad that you guys joined us tonight. This was a lot of fun, chatting about the days and bringing up memories from the past. Well, in some cases, many years.
Yeah.
Sometime, Jim, we have a lot of people from the campground. Who have stories that go back a long time, but stories from the earlier days when Brad was director and when you took over. So someday
when Ron reopened the campground in 2003, it's amazing what he's done there, but it had been abandoned in 2001 and 2002.
Yeah.
So shenanigans ensued on that giant property.
And that's what a lot of
There was a learning curve in 2003.
Yeah. That's what a lot of the stories have to do with, too.
Yeah.
We have one more comment here from Leslie Taylor, Sheldon's daughter. Nice to see everyone. Sheldon reminds me of the Sunday night events each week. I'm sure he's watching too. That'd be great, Sheldon. It's good to see you on, and hopefully we'll get up there soon. Paul and I had planned on getting up to Wisconsin and having lunch with you, and then we got to the March 13th, and we haven't done anything. In fact, it's been just crazy. Jim and I were talking before the show how crazy this time really is.
Yeah, Dan and I actually I arrived at TLP on April 2nd, and I think that Dan and I didn't actually see each other until
Like last week. Really? I mean,
it was wow. We're like, wait a minute, is this the first time we're actually seeing each other? Because we talk every day, but it seems like we haven't really actually been in the physical same space. So it is a crazy time. But for me, I think that this has been that opportunity. We have to think creatively as artists now, don't we? Our industry is definitely in some kind of a weird flux, but it is opportunities like TLP Live that we can get Olivia on and Jim and talk about the past. And thank you guys so much for being a part and being available for us, because again, I know our audiences love the TLP past, love the TLP community, and you guys are definitely ingrained in such a big part of that. So
absolutely. And
thank you.
This is so much fun for us to be able to, especially when you guys come back and we can chat a little bit. It's a little old home week every Sunday night for us. So,
and we do have to get both of you back here when we're able to do what we do, and see if we can't Olivia get you back on the stage. Jim, we want to see if we can get you here directing and choreographing, and let's see those talents shine again.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much, Olivia. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and I look forward a lot to coming out and seeing Mean Girls. Hopefully, we'll do another New York. Except Jim, our favorite place in New York, it's closed now, right?
Oh, everything is. I mean,
Well, I thought it closed down. Bourbon Street is no longer.
Well, so we used to always go to O'Flaherty's on 46th Street, and now that's a nail salon. But those bartenders moved down the street, and then there was.
They opened up we got a new bar for you, Dan. It's called the guys from O'Flaherty's opened up one called Hold Fast, and that is right down the street from O'Flaherty's and Bourbon Street.
Right.
And it is a really great bar, and so we've already planted seeds for the next TLP reunion in New York.
It's the most thing ever. It just closes and you move a block over.
Well, hopefully we will be able to do that again in February or March, and we'll do it where you guys can come and join us for a nice evening. And by the way, Jim, Ryan came out this past week and has done some work on the Revolve. So
amazing.
Yeah, he was in the theater on Tuesday with us.
Can I tell one more story?
Yes.
So Brad Lyons used to do this thing called initiation for the company that there's a lot of laws and why we don't do that anymore, but it was a lot of fun. But Ryan Filer Petke, who we called Hyphen because his name was hyphenated, he was like the last person to arrive from the company, and his parents called the police because he didn't call them when he showed up because not everyone had cell phones because we're that old. But so the police showed up looking for someone in the middle of it was a trip. That was before Ron owned the campground.
Yes, I know. We heard many a story about your and Brad's tenure.
Yeah,
that I wish we could do again, but it's just it's just a different world. I'm not sure we really wish we could do that. All right, guys, thank you so much. It was great to talk with you, and we will hopefully see you soon. Bye, Olivia.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, James.
Bye, Jim. Bye, Olivia. Good to see them.
Well, Paul, that was fun talking with our alumni and with our past director. Let's not forget TLP Virtual Gala, August 29th.
As much as I love going down the past, Dan, I so much also look at the future, and I think TLP Gala is going to be one for the ages. So I hope everybody start checking our Facebook. You'll be able to see all of the information, how you can get tickets, how you can join the fun. And we hope to see you all not only next week, but at the gala on August 29th.
And don't forget our education programs. Next week, Robert has invited several of our teachers to be on next week. So we'll have an evening of chat with our education folks, and not just about the education program, but about all the amazing things that these folks are doing in the professional world.
Excellent.
So that's for next week.
Excellent, excellent.
All righty then. Well,
Dan,
for another good evening.
I will see you tomorrow, but everywhere at home, thank you so much for joining TLP Live. We hope to see you next Sunday. And as always, comments are welcome, and we hope you have a safe and healthy week.
We'll see you tomorrow, Paul. We'll see all of you next week. And remember, we're all in this together.